Hey guys, so I had planned to do the big fish room tour video this week, showing off all my tanks and how I have my room set up and all that stuff. But I decided to push that off just a little while, maybe next week or the week after, because I'm doing some musical tanks. I'm moving some fish, upstairs to my bedroom. I'm having to get tanks ready for spawns and tanks ready for some fish that are being sent for the Eastern Betta Society auctions. So before I do that big tour, I kind of want to make sure everything is where it should be and looking decent and stuff like that. So instead, this week, I'm just going to do kind of my normal update / vlog thing. Show you what I'm doing down here today. And then later this week, I'm going to try to do a video on a specific topic. I haven't picked one out yet, but you guys have been giving lots of suggestions and asking for videos on specific things like feeding or, small tanks, keeping fish healthy in smaller tanks, or breeding videos and stuff like that. So I'm going to try to start accommodating those more. If you have an idea for a video, a specific topic you want me to talk on, just put it in the comments below. I'm going to write those down and try to do one a week, maybe. My cat is trying to eat my Plecos. I've had that cat since he was a baby. He's going to be, or he just turned 10 this year. And he's been around fish his entire life because I've been keeping fish longer than I've had him. And the only fish he's ever shown any interest in are those Plecos. And I think it's because they move more like mice than normal fish. Normal fish kind of glide around. But Plecos are very jerky and they kind of skitter around the tank. And he's obsessed with them. And I'm actually going to be looking for maybe some window clings or something to kind of cover up part of that tank so he's not able to torment them. I have a couple of babies in there actually now. The Plecos did breed. So that's one of the things I'm going to be working on, is getting some more stuff in that tank so they have more places to hide so he can't torment them as much, because for some reason those are the only fish that he wants to try to get. But anyway, getting some tanks set up for breeding. I made those lids over the weekend. You will have seen them probably if you follow King of DIY channel, or there's one other YouTuber that uses them, and I can't remember his name for right now, but basically they're just greenhouse roof panels. One panel was 8 feet by 2 feet and cost $20, and I was able to make 8 lids out of it. So really good deal. I cut some feeding holes in that I can just slide back. So they work for me. The main reason I wanted to put lids on this goldfish tank and up here are mainly just to keep the humidity in so the tanks don't evaporate as quickly. I'm not worried about these fish jumping out. If I were to put wilds in here or killifish or anything that's really jumpy, I wouldn't use these lids because obviously there's gaps. So they work really well. I'm putting the other lids I cut are on some of my spawn tanks, and I'm not worried about fish jumping out of my spawn tanks either. So anyways, that's kind of what's going to go on this week. Today I'm doing water changes, like I said, getting tanks set up, and I'll just update you guys as I go with whatever I'm doing. So right now I'm going to get to work, and I'll turn the camera back on when I have something interesting to show you guys. So one of the things I'm doing today is treating some of the new fish with prazipro, which is a dewormer. It's really gentle, and it's because it's liquid, it's a lot easier to dose than like General Cure. I've used General Cure in the past, There's just a little pellet that was sitting up there. And I do like General Cure, but Prazipro is nice for me having fish in the jars because I can dose it by the jar if I need to. So if you have fish in smaller containers, the dosing is 6 drops per gallon of Prazipro. And you just sit it in there, and I think you let it sit for about 5 to 7 days. Obviously, if you're like me and you have fish in unfiltered jars and you need to do 100% water changes, you'll redose that Prazipro so that they can be in the medication for that 5 to 7 days, which is the recommended dosing time. Also going to dose Mr. Hammer because he's been here a couple weeks and I haven't dosed him yet because I couldn't find my Prazipro, because apparently I had taken it upstairs at one point. You know, I must have put some new fish upstairs and it got put away and I could never find it. And luckily I found it the other day, so I can finally deworm him. I don't think he has worms. He came from a very highly recommended seller, but it's always a good idea when you get new fish in to, you know, just as a preventative measure, go ahead and deworm them. So what I'm going to do is, because I'm cheap and I don't like using more meds than I need to, I like to save the meds, especially because Prazipro is a little bit on the expensive side in my opinion. I'm going to lower his water level to about half. So he's about 55 gallons, a little less because I have the water level lower. I'm going to lower it to where it's about 20 gallons, maybe 30 gallons, and then I'm going to dose that. So I'm using about half as much of the medication as I would need if I was going to dose the full tank. So I'm going to get the python out, start draining his tank, and then work on some other stuff. I just noticed my longfin bristlenose female is out there. I thought I'd check her out. I just love these guys. I think the longfins are just so gorgeous. My male is an albino, and he is just stunning. He's actually right over there on the back side of that sponge filter. I can't wait for these guys to be big enough to breed. They're not quite there yet. Maybe in another couple of months. If I pulled them out and put them in a different tank where they're not all these piggy females going after their food, they might be ready to breed in a couple months. So I might pull them out. Not sure, but that male is just so pretty. Normally they're not out and about. They must have wanted to be on video today. Alright, so I'm going to get started draining that tank. I'm going to do water changes on my jars and dose the new fish that have come in as well with the Prazipro. And then we'll start cleaning out tanks and talk a little bit about who's going to get spawned and what I have planned to try to see if I can't fix that issue I'm having with my spawns dying off in the first week. So, time to get back to work. Okay, so we got the water level lowered and I put the medicine in. I think it's 1 teaspoon for 20 gallons, so put about 1.5 teaspoons in there since I'm estimating there's about 25 gallons in there, give or take. Now what I'm going to do is pull some of this duckweed out that's completely carpeted the top of this tank and feed it to the goldfish, because they haven't had any for a while, and that will give me some more light in here. I'm also going to take those those pipes out and put in a couple new ones to use until the caves my friend is sending me arrive. And I also have some pieces of wood to put in here for them. So we'll do that, and maybe we'll be able to see more babies as I'm working. So I pulled out about maybe 75% of the duckweed. I have like, I would say that's about 2 cups. It weighs about a pound worth of duckweed. No water in there, or a little bit of water in there, but mostly duckweed. The goldfish will be super happy. And I found another baby. So he's right there. I pulled the duckweed out with my hands so that I didn't accidentally net any of the babies. Get a better look. You can see they still have a little bit of the egg sac, but I am feeding the tank anyway because I'm not really sure when they start eating regular food. So whenever they do start eating food, there'll be food available for them. There's Mama right there. I'm gonna keep looking for more babies and see if I can't get a good count, but already this tank is so much brighter, which the plecos probably don't like, but it'll help my guppy grass grow, which is really what I need it to do. So I'm gonna pull these caves out and put the new caves in and put the wood in and get this tank looking much better for these guys. Oops, zoomed in there. Alright, well that'll do it for this tank, at least for now. Have some better caves coming, and I'm gonna go by the Lowe's later this week and get some end caps for these so that they're more like a cave. And I put some wood in there and I moved the plants around, so hopefully the cat doesn't bother them as much, and hopefully they'll breed again really soon. I'm not sure how often they'll breed. I don't know, like I said, I haven't done enough research into them, but I didn't see many babies when I was moving around the tank, so I'm pretty sure there's only like 1 or 2 that survived, which is pretty much what I expected since they weren't able to keep them in the tube. So hopefully they'll breed again and have better luck and I'll have more babies. But there, you can see there's Dad right back there. So right now I'm going to put this duckweed into the goldfish tank, and I'm sure this is going to be gone in about, I don't know, 2 days. They'll start snacking on it. I did already feed them today, so they might not be hungry quite yet. And we'll see what else we can get into today. Alright, so we're pulling out some girls from the sorority to go back into jars to get ready to go into spawns. And I had originally only planned to do like maybe 2 or 3 spawns, just to see, you know, if the ideas I have for keeping the survival rate up would work before I spawn the rest. But I have so many empty spawn tanks that it just seems like a waste not to try to spawn more than just a couple pairs. So I'm going to pull out all the girls I want to breed, and then later on I'll go through and see who's actually going to make it into a spawn tank. But the reason why I'm pulling them out is because, for one, when you have females in a sorority tank, oftentimes they can lose their aggression. They get used to seeing other females, and that makes them less likely to spawn. Either they're going to get terrified when they're in the spawn tank with the male because the male's acting really aggressive, or they just kind of ignore the male and they never spawn. So I'm going to jar them and put them back on the shelf and get them carted up so that they can get back to learning how to flare. The other reason I want to pull them out, sorry, I just waved the net in front of the camera. The other reason I want to pull them out is because they're getting really fat in here, which is nice, but I don't want them to get so big that the males can't wrap them. So I'm going to go ahead and pull them out, and then later on I'll go through and look at them next to the males and see who is going to actually make it into the cut for spawning. I'm not going to be putting any fish in spawn tanks today, but possibly this week, and if not, probably next week for sure. So I'm going to go ahead and start pulling them out. One of the main ones I want to spawn is this Dumbo female. Sadly, my favorite Dumbo female from my spawn and my favorite Dumbo male both passed away during that whole epidemic with my fish. The female actually jumped out, and it's very rare that I have a fish jump out of my jars, but she actually did, and I found her on the floor, and unfortunately she died. The male is one of the males that I lost that died from some kind of mysterious illness. I'm still not sure exactly what it was, but alright, the other one I want to pull out is this koi girl. She's one I raised, and I just recently lost her mother. I still have the father. I didn't get any males from that spawn, which seems to be a trend in my spawns lately. I'm getting a lot of females, and it might be one of the theories is that if you breed young females, you get more females. If you breed older females, you get more males. And like I said, that's just a theory, but a lot of the fish I've bred in the last couple years have been younger, so that might be why I tend to get more females. But I just lost her mother, at least I think I did, because she was in this tank and I haven't seen her for a while. So I'm going to pull her out and I'm going to breed her back to her father. Now, that kind of freaks some people out when they hear breeding siblings together or breeding parents to offspring and stuff like that. And what I want to explain is that fish are not mammals, in case you didn't know. Their genetics don't work the same, and they tolerate a certain amount of inbreeding. And that's actually how we stabilize traits in domestic fish. How we get these colors and patterns. You have to do a certain amount of inbreeding and a certain amount of line breeding. Now, line breeding is a little bit different. You're not always breeding fish that are related. Sometimes you're breeding cousins or aunts and uncles. Inbreeding is more breeding siblings together or breeding back to the parents. And I try not to do that very often, breeding back to the parents. But in some cases you have to because you don't have any other choice. Now, I could get a completely unrelated male for this female, but she turned out so nice. She's a very nice marble or, koi. And because she turned out so nice and because the parents were not super inbred themselves, I feel confident that I can cross her back to her father and still get nice fish. And then once I raise up those babies, then I will outcross and bring in fresh blood, fresh genetics. Who else needs to come out? The crown tail female. I still really want to get a spawn of crown tails to try. So that'll just be a repeat of that spawn. Who else needs to come out? I need to pull out this green girl. Everybody loved the metallic greens, and I do too, and I really want to get babies from them. They spawned really easily last time, so hopefully they will again. Let's see if I can get her. The good thing about netting females is that they are such pigs that it's super easy to get them to just kind of jump right in the net. Let's see, I also want to get some oranges. This female used to be mostly red, and after I spawned her the first time, she started marbling. So now she's got this kind of red marble pattern, and I think that would be really cool to work with that orange male I have. But she's also really big, and of course that one had to jump in the net. Get out. As soon as one jumps out, another one. Alright, well, while she's running away, she's really big, so I'm not sure if that male can wrap her. So I also want to pull out her orange sister, who's right... oh, I lost her. Right there. Now, she's not a great orange. She doesn't have the best form, which is why I didn't breed her originally. And she's got black spots, which I don't want. But, you know, sometimes you have to work with what you have and not be afraid to deal with problems down the road. You know, if you're only ever wanting to breed the best fish and you're never wanting to work with problems, you're never going to create a line. Because no matter what fish you breed, you're going to end up with something you want to work on. And I've seen people do a spawn, get, you know, okay fish, but there's something to work on, and just completely give up on the line because they don't want to work it. And I think that's, you know, the most fun thing to do is to get fish, breed them, raise them, see what the problems are that you want to fix, the flaws, and then actually fix them. Like, that's the most rewarding thing about it. It shouldn't just be, you know, oh, I can pick the best fish and make more of the best fish. That red marble girl really doesn't want to come out, of course. This girl has a propensity for getting egg bound. You can see already she's really big. And so I'm not planning to spawn her right away, but I want to go ahead and put her back in a jar where her food intake can be monitored more closely, because I don't want her getting so eggy that she gets egg bound again. She got egg bound once, and luckily after a very, very long time, she reabsorbed those eggs. But I want to avoid that happening again. You can see she's just super fat. I also want to pull out one of these lavender females, like this girl. Sadly, I lost my two best males from that spawn. I'm still really broken up about that, but I have one male left. So I want to pull out the best female, which is this girl. And hopefully I can get them to spawn and continue with that line. I also want to outcross these females to a couple other males I have. And see what I get. These you can see how long these vowels will get if you just let them grow. Okay, stick her in there. Now the only one left I want to pull out is this orange one who's being, she's not orange, she's red. Red marble one who's being a butthead. See if I can get her in there without all the other fish jumping in the net with her. Ugh. There's always one that wants to give you a hard time. The rest of these girls will stay in here for now. They're getting along pretty well. Some of them are a little bit chewed up, but you know, for the most part, they're getting along okay. So I am going to leave them in here until I'm ready to either sell them or jar the rest. This girl's got like a weird thing going on with her chin there. I have to take a closer look at her. But the rest will just stay in here. Eventually I'm going to offer some of them up for sale. Maybe as a sorority package or maybe individually as breeders, and then this tank will be used for grow out, hopefully, if these spawns work. So I'm gonna try to get this naughty girl out and get them jarred, and then I'm gonna clean the rest of my jars and we'll have a look at those new fish that came. Running out of water. I guess I won't get all my jars done today. I did get my pairs pulled and kind of set next to each other so I can get an idea of who I want to spawn with whom, and let them start flirting with each other, start seeing each other. And some of the females, it might take a few days for them to start flaring again because they have been in a community type situation, but some of them, like this girl, she remembered immediately what she's supposed to do when the cards are pulled. So hopefully we can get some babies out of them. Those are my last Dumbos, so I really want them to work for me. So tomorrow I'll be getting these tanks cleaned up. I don't think I'm going to get it done tonight. And getting them reset. I don't think I'll be doing any spawns until later this week. Possibly like this Sunday or something. But I'm not sure if I'll update you guys when I do that or just after the spawns happen. So we'll see. But I mentioned in the last update that I had a few ideas of how to stop the die-off in my spawn, which is what killed all the fry in these tanks. What I think is causing it is some sort of organic thing in my tap water, be it a bacteria or a protozoa, parasite of some sort, something like that. The reason I think that is because I've tested everything else I can possibly test for: ammonia, chlorine, nitrate, pH, temperature. I know it's not too much food, and I know it's not a lack of food. So that leads me to believe it's some sort of bacteria. So like I said in the last video, I think there's two things left I can try. And so kind of what I'm going to do is decide how many pairs I want to spawn. I have about 9 tanks open right now, so I can spawn anywhere from 2 pairs to 9. And I'll do half of the tanks with antibiotics, specifically Canaplex. This was suggested to me by friends that had big die-off issues very similar to mine. And as soon as they started using Canaplex, they said it really helped their issues. So that's one thing I'll be trying. I don't like the idea of using antibiotics when it's not entirely necessary, but I'm at the point now where I feel it is necessary to at least try. So that's one thing I'll be doing. The other thing I'll be trying is remineralized RO water. So instead of using my tap water, I'll be using completely 100% reverse osmosis and just adding the minerals and buffers back in to get it to the levels I want to. And what that should do is, if there is anything in the water, it would hopefully be taken out by the reverse osmosis. I also have bottled spring water that I'm going to try as well. So that's 3 things, like really 2.5. I'm going to try the antibiotics, and then I'm going to try a different water source. So I'm going to do some tanks with the antibiotics and my regular tap water like I normally do. Some of the tanks with reverse osmosis water that's been remineralized and buffered to the right levels. And then I'm going to use 1 or 2 tanks with store-bought spring water. And we'll see what works. So I think that's all for today, guys. I'm gonna feed these guys and pretty much call it a day, and I'll get the rest of the jars changed tomorrow after I fill my can back up and re-age some more water. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this little kind of vlog thing. Like I said, the next video will probably be on some sort of specific topic. I'm thinking I'm going to do it on feeding. That's a question I've been getting a lot. Can you do a video on feeding and foods and stuff? So if you have an idea or a suggestion for a specific topic you want me to do a video on, let me know in the comments. Like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff, and I will update you guys again hopefully early next week, and maybe have some fry to show you. We'll see. All right, bye guys.